Hi, I'm Mr. Hackathon, and this is my hackathon project, SBA Assist. SBA Assist is for US manufacturing companies, and it is to help provide them with accessible information that is easy to understand based on their industry goals and challenges. The Small Business Administration and just manufacturing information in general can be so hard. Right now, there are a lot of trade tensions going on between the US and Canada, the US and China, and lots of different countries. And President Trump and many other politicians are really trying to work to upskill the US capacity. But to upskill the US capacity, resources have to be made a lot more accessible. So what we do here is select our goals. Let's say the industry we're in, textiles, the state we're in, maybe we're in Florida. And our challenges might be sustainability. And I might just say something like, can you help? Typically, you want something that's a lot more focused, a lot more intentional than can you help me? But this should be okay.
I'm made for this.
So immediately what you can see, and this is one of the monetization strategies, is we have an ad that plays while a response from Chipp is loading. And now we can actually skip this. Now the response is here. But we can also, in the back end, customize this ad based on the user's preferences that they selected. Maybe a partner wants to advertise specifically to textile companies in Florida or agricultural companies in Alabama, and a personalized ad can display, and this is a monetization opportunity. This displays about the US Marine Corps, but we're just going to select, and you can see here that it gives us some initial information. To improve the quality of the response, as we all know, I would improve the knowledge source or the knowledge base, improving the resources and the sources that are being used in the knowledge database. This was built with Replit. So all of this user interface is made with prompting using Replit, and the Chipp API is the AI layer that's in this backend. The next steps to potentially improve this would be to improve the knowledge base, but also potentially add actions. I would love to see how browser use could be incorporated here, how agentic frameworks can be incorporated here. If the user asks for email, maybe it could say, hey, I will send this email for you. Would you like me to write an email and send it for you? And figure out how that logistics works, especially if the user hasn't given authentication to their email or to any other potential thing they have. What could be particularly interesting here is the new movement with generative UI. And this UI is really fixed, but how can the UI be customized to personal user preferences? That could be another interesting space that I would love to explore with this project.
I'm an educator and I'm finding that education is really slow to adopt using AI. So what I've done is I've created an app that allows a teacher to enter a prompt, and I've trained the chip on 8 specific bias areas within AI. Scott can show the video. You put in a prompt, you get the bias report on where your prompt is biased, and it provides you 2 or 3 alternative prompts to use to help you create a better prompt for your classroom. One of the areas I've struggled with was being able to embed the Chipp chat within my website. So on the learn more portion of my app, if you just click on it, you go to a chat session where my Chipp agent acts as an AI bias educator, provides an educator background on bias, explains the 8 areas, and really tries to make very important information accessible to educators in terms they can understand.
When you did the vibe code, any challenges that you hit, or how were you able to make it look so good?
So this is the 5th iteration of my submission because I was always running into roadblocks with, first it was the UI. I didn't like the way it looked. Then it was trying to get the Chipp API to actually analyze the prompts by the 8 areas I designed. So I had to go back and forth to tease that out. Then I had struggled for at least a day and a half to manage the chat interface. It was so hard to get my Chipp to perform 2 different functions in one website. I had to go back and reiterate the prompt for the Chipp so it understood that it had 2 functions to serve and not have a crossover and a bleed. It was an epic battle.
Well, we give you a round of applause for your epic work.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. The worst part about vibe coding is vibe debugging. I know is very challenging. So,
Yeah.
Maria, you've done that. Anything people should know? And
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to double down on that. So like, I know that the Replit video, for example, that I made is like short, it's to the point, etc. It took me like 1.5 days to get there. So just remember that there's always like the behind the scenes of like debugging, trying to make it work. I would actually agree with Aaron. Replit is amazing and it's really easy in some ways, but the debugging and when you say a roadblock, that part can take forever. And it's going to depend on exactly what your whole product is, how you're going to debug it. So I was asked by quite a few people, like, can you make like a really simple, like these are the steps? And it really can't, because it really depends on the order of things and like what you do include like a login. The login is going to make things a mess. Embedding an AI API key is going to make a mess in a different way. So it's like, it's this give and take. It's a back and forth. You will get there at some point, but it might take a lot of time. And in some cases, depending on your app, it might not take any time at all. So it's like vibe coding is a different kind of experience because you are not in control of all of it, but it does make it easier for you. If you're not a developer, you can still do it. And maybe I'll share a kind of like tutorial video of the one I vibe coded, because there are different things that you can do. And one thing I would mention is that there is a video about curl request and how to Chipp. And especially for vibe coding, if you just give the API key and the curl request to Replit, that's what it means. Like those are the two things that you give to Replit, and they will be able to integrate chips into the apps. So the curl is like key to making it work, at least with Replit, in my experience.